Thanks for checking in, guys. I thought I had to cut a video tonight because there's so much negativity out there. Everybody's now ringing the sirens that winter is over. People are taking claim to their warm winter forecasts already, and they're trying to put down the ones who've had cold winter forecasts. And quite frankly, we don't know who's going to be right yet, so I think it's just ridiculous. And if anything, the warmer December was actually expected by a lot of people who are predicting an overall cold winter, including myself. Just to give you guys an idea, this is what I expected for December. So I was not expecting very cold conditions at all. And if you read my winter outlook that I put out in October, you could see that. Okay, again, anytime you have this positive EPO pattern or negative height anomalies or lower pressures off the west coast near Alaska, you're not going to get cold conditions on the east. It's just the jet stream configuration is completely off. And this is what I expected in the winter forecast for December. Okay. And if we go to what's actually going on here on the grander scale, you can see there's that blue off Alaska, and that's going to, for the most part, continue through most of the month. So if we go to our current weather real quick, because I want to talk a little bit about some of the rain that we're seeing. We have this frontal boundary, which is bringing us warm and miserable weather. I know they're about to light the tree, like I said, and which is not a great scene for Christmas. But this frontal boundary will sweep through by tomorrow. Some colder air works in, but again, the whole pattern is focused in the west. You have all these storms coming off the Pacific Northwest. Are burying Vancouver mountain areas like Whistler and Snow, and you're going to keep seeing this constant bombardment because of these lower pressures in the Gulf of Alaska. That has to change, and it's not going to change, especially up until the 15th of this month. I'm telling you right now. So if we look at these models, like I said, this is now going to December 11th. All the blues are out west. You get troughing in the west, you get ridging in the east. But as we get to the second part of the month, again, this is the Canadian, but let's switch here and go to the actual GFS. You can see there's pressures building in Canada, and this isn't a very cold pattern yet, but I'd like to see this much more than having a bunch of blue up here and a bunch of red underneath. So I think the pattern is evolving. I think eventually we'll start to get ridging in the Gulf of Alaska. And again, hopefully we get into a negative NAO pattern, but it's not going to be until the second half of the month. We will have, though, a few shots at some storms. Not so much really in terms of snow, but for example, if I go back to the GFS model here and we take a look at the eastern United States, and I go, let's start off with, middle of next week. Okay, we might get a little nor'easter. Europeans hinting at this too. So by the time I get to the middle of next week here, we have this little storm system spin up off the coast. Have some pretty decent winds compacted with it, and really affect the whole eastern seaboard with rain. I mean, I've been watching this for a while, and I think this is going to happen. I'll post more on it if it develops, and after that. Again, this is very long range. I barely look at this stuff, but there is the chance of a storm to develop again right just between the 15th and the 20th of December, which I could see happening. I think just given the pattern, I would expect something to be a little bit more inland here, not a coastal storm, but something that affects maybe the Midwest or just actually to the east of that, western Pennsylvania, Appalachians. I can see getting snow, and maybe up in New England if we get enough high pressure to hold up there. So things will be very active. If anything, to show an example of that, I mean, look at the total precipitation across the entire country from the GFS model from those two systems. There's the Pacific Northwest getting pounded, and then potential for two systems somewhere in the eastern third as we head longer into the period. So what's my point? My point is everybody has to calm down, okay? The pattern has not flipped yet to winter. I know it's frustrating when it's December 2nd and it feels like it's October 2nd. But again, a big function of that too is it's a very, very cold stratosphere. When you have a very tight vortex up here and you have a lot of heating that's influencing that vortex, you're not going to get cold outbreaks. You're not going to have a negative Arctic oscillation. Now, there are hints that there's some poleward heat fluxes from the equator up towards the poles, but we have to see if that has an impact, and we're not going to know until the second half of December if that does have an impact. So bottom line, I think we have to stay patient. We are going to see some storm activity. I don't think the big cities see any snow at all, definitely up until through the 20th of the month, and maybe not even until January. But inland of the cities, first flakes maybe in the northwest suburbs you'll see sometime in December. And I do think Vermont and the Midwest and even interior Pennsylvania, etc., will actually have a shot at some snow before it's all said and done this month. So let's watch how this evolves. Again, I expect that this winter, at the end of the day, 30% more snow than normal, 1 to 2 degrees below normal temperatures. That is my forecast. So thanks for checking in, and we'll see how this evolves.